Welcome back to The Explainer. We live in a world that it's just loud, it's fast, it's constantly demanding our attention, right? But today, we're going to hit pause. We're going to use this explainer to unpack something called the quiet patience of seeds. We are looking at something so incredibly small, so totally everyday, that you've probably just brushed it off your kitchen counter 100 times without a second thought. But we're going to explore the hidden, hushed magic of seeds and, honestly, what their unbelievable patience can actually teach us about life, about growth, and our own connection to the natural world. I want you to just imagine this for a second. In the palm of your hand, a seed weighs almost nothing. It's such an intimate thought, isn't it? You could literally lose it in the crease of your hand. It's completely silent. It asks absolutely nothing from you. But here's the thing. That weightlessness, it's a total illusion. A brilliantly designed illusion. Because inside that tiny, completely still, seemingly empty little speck is a whole entire life. It is folded up, packed away, and just waiting for the green light to begin. We're taught as kids that a seed is just asleep, that it's this idle, lifeless thing until we decide to toss it in some dirt. But as we're going to see today, that couldn't be further from the truth. So let's officially bust that myth right now. Seeds are absolutely not asleep. If you were to crack one open with, say, microscopic precision, you wouldn't find an empty shell. You'd find 3 beautifully structured elements tucked safely inside every single one. First up is the embryo. This is the actual beginning of the plant. It's completely formed, and it's already holding its very first tiny leaf and root in miniature. Then you've got the food store. Think of this as a packed lunch, meticulously prepped for a really long journey that just hasn't started yet. And finally, wrapping the whole shebang up is a tough outer coat. This keeps that incredibly vulnerable, soft little bundle safe from the harsh realities of the outside world. It's seriously a masterpiece of natural packaging. Now, that tough outer coat we just mentioned, it's not just physical armor. It's actually a key player in what botanists call dormancy, this deep, dreamless rest. Dormancy is a deliberate, highly purposeful pause in the seed's life. The seed is actively making the choice not to grow yet. Why? Well, because it knows it absolutely cannot afford to waste its one and only shot on a freezing cold night or, a desperately dry week. It is waiting for the exact right moment, not a single second before. So it's not idle at all. It is just remarkably, remarkably patient. And this purposeful waiting, it builds into something totally mind-blowing happening right beneath our feet. Think about the ground you walk on every single day. Under a sprawling meadow, under your backyard garden, or literally beneath the perfectly manicured grass of a busy city park, the soil is holding thousands upon thousands of these resting seeds in the dark. Scientists actually call this a seed bank. I absolutely love that imagery. It's a hidden library of beginnings. Every single seed is paused, ready, quietly waiting for its specific season to finally arrive. You have likely walked over more sleeping life today than you could ever possibly imagine. So you might be wondering, just how long can a seed wait? Well, the number you're looking at right now isn't a typo. 2,000. Back in 2005, a group of scientists decided to plant a single date seed. Now, planting a date seed isn't exactly front-page news, except this specific seed was discovered at an ancient stone fortress out in the desert. It had been sealed away in the dark long, long before anyone alive today was even a thought. That is 2,000 years of absolute silence. 2 millennia of holding its breath deep in dormancy. And when those scientists took that ancient 2-millennial-old seed and gave it just a little water, a little warmth, and a little patience in return, it did the only thing it had ever meant to do. It grew. A small green shoot, literally older than the Roman Empire, older than almost every story we know, finally reached up toward a sun it had never seen. They actually named the little tree Methuselah. And miraculously, unbelievably enough, it is still alive today. It's an absolutely staggering testament to the sheer weight and power of what is waiting inside a seed. Okay, so what exactly ends a rest that can last for thousands of years? How does this massive awakening actually happen? Well, it's a propulsive, highly orchestrated chain reaction triggered by something incredibly simple: water. When moisture finally reaches the seed, it soaks through that tough outer coat we talked about, causing the whole bundle to swell up. Think of this as the very first deep breath the seed takes. Inside, that packed lunch softens into usable fuel, and then the embryo actually begins to move. But here's the crazy part. The very first thing to emerge is not a leaf reaching for the sun. The first thing is a root pushing fiercely downward. Only then does the shoot lift upward. Check out this beautifully gentle scientific word, radical. It sounds super intense, right? But it's really just the term for that very first pale, delicate thread of a root. And notice the strategy here. The seed doesn't just blindly throw leaves into the air and hope for the best. No, it sends the radical downward into the total dark first. It is actively searching for water and something solid to hold on to. It doesn't wait for permission, and it definitely doesn't wait for the light. It knows that before you can reach up, you must reach down. Because, well, that is where true steadiness comes from. Only after that anchor is completely set does the seed turn upward, carrying its first folded leaves toward the surface. And when those tiny leaves finally break through the dirt out into the open air and feel the sun on them, something extraordinary kicks in. The plant begins to feed itself. This is photosynthesis. And sure, we all learned the dry textbook definition of that back in grade school, but this strips it down to its beautiful core. Light becomes growth. The unfolding leaves gather sunlight, air, and the water drawn up by that courageous first root, and they manufacture their own food. A sunbeam is quite literally transformed into a solid green stem. The long wait is finally over. Now, I want to pivot for a second and bring this explainer directly to you, to us. Maybe you live in a high-rise apartment. Maybe you've literally never had a garden, and your only experience with plants is like a slightly crooked little sprout sitting in a pot on your kitchen windowsill. But I bet you know this feeling. When you see that very first true leaf finally open up, it feels like a genuine victory, doesn't it? But why is that? Why does a tiny, kind of insignificant green sprout rising up out of some store-bought dirt have the power to move something so deep inside your chest? Well, the answer to that question is ancient, and it's captured perfectly in this concept, biophilia. It's the scientific idea that humans have an innate, deeply ingrained pull toward living things. And the reason? Survival, pure and simple. For nearly all of human history, paying extremely close attention to plants is quite literally what kept our ancestors alive. A new green sprout meant food was coming, it meant there was fresh water nearby. It was the ultimate signal that a harsh winter was finally over, and the world had softened enough to sustain life again. And you know what? That ancient instinct hasn't left you. It is hardwired into your DNA. That's exactly why a simple houseplant can instantly settle a restless mind on just an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. And, this ancient instinct really reveals a powerful philosophical takeaway for us today. Just look at the pace of a seed. Nature is never in a hurry. A seed does not rush. It never looks at the plant next to it and panics that it's falling behind. It simply rests for exactly as long as it needs to. And then it begins. It grows at the only pace it has ever known, its own. In the life of a seed, there is literally no such thing as being late. There is only the right time. Can you imagine applying that kind of grace and patience to our own lives? Which brings us right back to where we started. In the palm of your hand, a seed weighs almost nothing. I really want to leave you with a small invitation today. The very next time you encounter a seed, maybe it's a forgotten packet in your junk drawer or just a little pip inside the apple you're eating for lunch, just stop. Hold it for just a second. Really feel how completely weightless it is. And then remember the thousands of years of patience, the perfect natural engineering, and the entire folded-up life it quietly carries. The world is always, always trying to rush us. But the next time you feel like you are falling behind, ask yourself, are you actually late, or are you just in dormancy, gathering your strength for the exact right moment to break ground? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.